It's that time again. Walt Disney World in pandemic is back. Hello, everyone. Wade Heath for the Kingdom Report, joining you once again for this installment where we bring you the first-hand experience, the first-hand knowledge of what it's like to visit Walt Disney World during this very unique time. Hey, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so that you never miss anything we have for you. And make sure that that notification bell is turned on. That way you're alerted every time we've got a new story or a new video just like this. This is, of course, part of a much larger series, the In Pandemic series, where we have been chronicling what it's like to visit Walt Disney World since they reopened in summer of 2020. Well, it's spring 2021, and here we are at Los Angeles International Airport, this time at the Delta Airlines terminal. We've done United, we've done American, and now we are doing Delta to see if anything is different and what that's like. Right off the bat, this is, of course, evening. If you have followed any of our prior experiences, you know that I love traveling on those red-eye flights. Typically, it is because there are far less people on board a flight when it is a red-eye, and you just fly all night, and you wake up in the morning, and you're there. Here at LAX, things were noticeably busier by comparison of prior experiences. A lot more people getting comfortable with traveling again. A lot more people back in the airports. Now, keep in mind, this is pretty late at night, I believe 11 p.m. or so. So at this point, only a few things were open, but much different from our trip back in December where absolutely nothing was open. In fact, it was a ghost town throughout the terminals. Now we do have a few options for food and drink within the area of the terminal. One of the things that had not changed, of course, was the very frequent and very obvious reminders for all things health and safety, whether it was the overhead announcements or the signage throughout Los Angeles International Airport, something we are very used to seeing at this point. However, given the time of night, it was pretty quiet in this terminal overall. Lots of open space, so lots of places where you could socially distance at, so it wasn't so much of a concern here. However, you will notice that with the chairs and all of the seating area, lots of social distance markers on these chairs to make sure that you are spaced out appropriately. This location in general was just very nice, very refreshed in terms of overall appearance and look. LAX seems to be in a constant state of refurbishment. I've never known it not to be under some sort of construction. It's kind of maddening almost. But this area was a very nice area, even though you were constantly reminded of the health and safety measures in place and what you should and shouldn't be doing. The state of California, of course, in the spring of 2021, still had plenty of restrictions in place, but we're starting to move in the right direction of lessening them, which was great news. Here in a bar area within the terminal, there is notifications that say, you are welcome to go ahead and grab yourself a drink from this bar. However, you are not permitted to drink it on the premises. So, yes, on the premises means in this general vicinity. Otherwise, you'll need to remove yourself and walk 2 or 3 feet from it, because 2 or 3 feet from that space meant that it was safer. I don't pretend to understand it. At any rate, one of the things that I wanted to point out was I was notified via my app that my terminal had changed all of a sudden. Yeah, my flight was now going out of a completely different terminal on the other side of the airport. I had to go downstairs to a bus on the tarmac. I have no idea why this was set up this way, but it was the oddest experience of my life at LAX. I had to get onto a bus that drove on the tarmac where the planes were taxiing all the way over to the international terminal, which then dropped me off here. This was the spot where the Orlando flight was leaving out of all of a sudden. And this terminal was, number one, completely packed. And you'll see it here. Lots and lots of people in this area. And everybody other than the Orlando flight were going to international destinations. The handful of international places that flights were allowed to go to at this point, these people were all going to other continents or other countries entirely. There were not signs, there were not overhead announcements, there was no hand sanitizer, nothing to indicate health and safety was important right here, right now, like there was just a second ago in the other terminal. The international terminal had none of that. And I thought that was very interesting and something definitely worth pointing out, and a little bit more difficult than it was in the prior terminal to be able to space out because there's just really nowhere to go. Everybody was just crammed into one area. At any rate, we were boarded. I still don't understand why we were routed through the international terminal to go to Orlando, but we were. I boarded the flight, made sure I had my seat all ready to go, and Delta at this point was still doing the middle seat open, so therefore nobody was going to be sitting in the middle seat. It is an absolute joy to not have that middle seat filled. I wish some things were kept from this pandemic era for all times. Nobody wants the middle seat. Nobody enjoys the middle seat. It's just nice to have it empty. In a matter of just a couple of hours after leaving Los Angeles International Airport, we were arriving to an early morning Orlando, a beautiful sunrise about to happen. Just a gorgeous flight on in. Like I said, I really enjoy these red eyes. You sleep through the flight and then you wake up to your destination. One of my absolute favorite things to do. Everybody was getting ready to deplane. It was a very quiet overnight flight. And within a matter of moments, we had arrived to Orlando International Airport. You'll see here, it was very quiet, super early in the morning. I think about 6 a.m. at this point, so very quiet. Not a whole lot of things were open yet just because it was so early in the morning. I think Starbucks was just setting up shop. So at any rate, this space was very empty upon arrival. And I know that everybody enjoys themselves the first ride of their Disney experience, and that first ride for anybody that comes through the Orlando International Airport is, of course, the airport monorail. Yeah, a very special attraction that you have to take in order to get from one terminal to the other. Always a joy to jump on board this first ride, so I always like to include it. I know it means a lot to people. Everybody, for the most part, here in Orlando, I mean, especially within the airport atmosphere, masks were worn. Anywhere I went in Orlando during this trip, never saw anybody disobeying the mask orders, at least for the touristy areas. Here in the airport itself, in the main terminal, you see the beautiful fountain just in front of the TSA checkpoint and the Disney store. Like I said, very early, so a lot of things still weren't open yet. This was the first time I've ever taken rideshare services instead of Disney's Magical Express. So I've always taken Magical Express to the resort. I wanted to do things a little differently this time, just because I know this is the last year for Magical Express. If you hadn't heard, Disney's Magical Express is officially going away at the end of 2021. Disney announced that all of a sudden. So you're going to have to take rideshare unless you can figure something else out, maybe rent your own car. But this is the first time I took a Lyft from Orlando International to my resort, and I have to say, it was fantastic. Absolutely loved my driver, had a great time, got me there in record time, a lot faster than my friends at Magical Express are able to do. And within a matter of just a couple of minutes, I had arrived to Disney's Pop Century Resort, a place that celebrates the decades, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. This place is one of my homesteads. Yeah, I've stayed here plenty of times. This was an important place to stay for me now because, if you recall, when we started the In Pandemic series, we wanted to see what things were like here at this resort when Walt Disney World officially reopened. So back in summer of 2020, this was the first resort we stayed at, and I wanted to compare it now because things have definitely changed in the state of Florida. Things have changed with the pandemic. Restrictions have been lifted in Florida to a certain degree. Things are just very different between summer 2020 and spring of 2021. You'll notice everywhere you go on Disney property, still lots of reminders, lots of safety measures in place to make sure everybody's comfortable. Obviously, if you're traveling right now, which is an unusual time to travel, and a lot of states are even saying don't travel for the most part. If you're traveling now, you are encouraged to abide by all of the rules that Disney has put in place to make sure everybody's okay. Lots of COVID-19 warnings everywhere you go. One of the unique things about this COVID era is that they really encourage everybody to just check in online and don't even go to the front desk anymore. Just do everything via the My Disney Experience app. You'll see it right when you walk in there. This sign basically tells you, hey, just use your app. Go ahead, use your magic band, your digital key via your app to get into your room. We'll text you as soon as your room is ready. You don't have to come speak to anybody physically. It's fine. Yet again, another one of those nice luxuries, another one of those really nice conveniences that I hope sticks around for a very long time when it comes to the after pandemic life. So just a really nice luxury to have. This is the lobby. You'll notice very empty here earlier in the morning. It is a lovely place. Let's go ahead and take a look around.
Yeah.
So much nostalgia in this place. That is what Pop Century is all about. You might recall that in our August trip to this resort, it was a very controlled atmosphere when it came to the retail establishment in the main building, as well as the dining option, which is the Everything Pop shopping and dining location. You'll notice here on the left-hand side, there's a cast member. On the right-hand side, there's a cast member just beneath that archway. And on the left-hand side, you can enter for the store itself, which most of the time didn't have a wait. You could walk right in. They would let you go, but they were controlling overall capacity. On the right-hand side, you needed to show your food order via your My Disney Experience app that your food was ready, because they'll signal as soon as your food is ready after you order it via the app. And then that cast member would let you through. You would walk through this area and then on into the dining location itself, the food courts as we know it to be here at Pop Century. And one of the things that I noticed from August to now, number one, things are still the same in terms of the food court itself. The individual food locations are not open, the storefronts. In fact, they still have the big tables in the middle and basically just a giant wall in front of the rest of it. So you'll get a number via your My Disney Experience app. Just go to the number on the ground in front of the table. That's how you know that's your pickup number, and you'll see your food sitting there on a tray. This location also offered a lot more in terms of overall food options than they were back in August. So the food option menu has increased, which is fantastic. It was so minimal last summer in 2020. And then when you want to grab a drink, also same sort of situation. Cast members will get it for you. You just walk up, show them your receipt, and say, this was the drink I wanted. They will then go ahead and grab one for you to enjoy. Following that, you move on into the dining rooms, multiple dining rooms to choose from, including lots of outdoor seating that they have set up at this point. Everything is socially distanced here, so you don't have to worry about being too close to another party. You can remove your mask and dig into whatever food and beverage you got yourself. Out in front of that main building where the food court is located is the transportation pickup area, complimentary transportation to the theme parks. You'll notice here on this morning, the Magic Kingdom bus system, the extended queue for it was just totally overwhelmed. And I saw this a couple different times during my trip. Clearly, so many more people are visiting Disney World now than they were summer of 2020. A lot more comfort has set in for individuals bringing their families, and this is before the real rush of spring break. So I'd like to point that out too. It just so happens that everybody seemed to be going to Magic Kingdom that morning. Now, to Disney's credit, they did have bus after bus lined up, ready to gobble up everybody to go on to the Magic Kingdom. So it wasn't like you were waiting for one bus and then 30 minutes later another bus showed up. But look at this line all the way back to the lobby and the driveway area. Keep in mind, socially distanced line, so everybody is 6 feet apart. So it does sort of look a little bit more overwhelmed than it probably is, just because everybody is spaced out 6 feet. However, the lines went on, and I saw that multiple times during my visit for certain parks. You'll also notice here that a sign indicates you can use Disney's Skyliner for Disney's Hollywood Studios. They were having Epcot buses pick up at this location You could also use the Skyliner to take you on over to Epcot. You'll notice here at the back of the resort where the Skyliner has its station, it does tell you that you can head on over to Epcot and Hollywood Studios via the Skyliner. This is the station itself. It's located just between the Pop Century Resort and then the bridge that leads you over to Disney's Art of Animation Resort. This line too was huge in the morning. So again, 6 feet of distance between each party. It does look probably far worse than it is. However, while things kept moving, the wait did sometimes extend up to 30 to 45 minutes just to board, especially if they had to slow down for some reason. So keep that in mind, that the hour leading up to a park opening and then the hour after a park opens is usually the very busiest time of day to board the Skyliner at this resort. And you just notice how far back this line goes. I mean, it's a big one. So all things to keep in mind, Disney Transportation, while as efficient as it seems it can be, which kudos to Disney for doing, it is still very, very busy. Hey, let's take a look around this beautiful resort and admire it just a smidge. '50s. 1950s is the location that I was staying in here at Pop Century Resort, and the building that I was in the very back of the 1950s with the jukebox as the icon out front. And I wanted to play some music. I definitely did. However, I just couldn't apply enough pressure to these buttons in order to get anything to work. I'm a small man, apparently. But my view was of the lake, which was pretty cool. It was the back of the 50s building. And my room here, 2339 was where I was staying. A very peaceful location. I was up here on a higher floor, so definitely wasn't on the ground. The higher up you can go in these buildings, the better, I like to think. Just because there's so much activity usually on the bottom. I would come to find, though, that wouldn't matter in the end, and we'll get to that here in a second. However, here we are inside the room. The entire property of Disney's Pop Century Resort was redone in the last few years. As a matter of fact, I believe the last 3 years. Total rehab of the rooms in general. Just a fresh, more clean appearance, wood panel flooring. They got rid of the carpeting. Everything now is much nicer than it was before. However, this is a very much like a motel style room. That's how the value resorts are situated, so keep that in mind. You'll notice here lots of shelving, lots of places to put things, the creamers, sugars, and teas, as well as your coffee alongside your coffee maker. One of the things that I like about this room and sort of the refurbished setup, there's a lot of extra room, a lot of places to put things now that you didn't have before. So they make use of the small space that they give you to really offer you up a lot of various options in terms of storing your things, which I think is really nice, so that the room kind of feels a little bit bigger. In addition to this space-saving shelving unit with the ice bucket and the coffee maker and the fridge underneath, you do have your recycle bin, your trash bin, and then we look on over towards the smart TV. That's right, you can cast anything from your phone to that TV, which is a very nice thing to have in this day and age. In addition to that, the dresser drawers underneath it. A lot of really cool options. Again, they packed a lot into a very small space, which I appreciate. So lots of places to put things. You got your Holy Bible. You have yourself a safe in which to shove your valuables in. Some additional pillows down below. One of the things that I also really appreciate about these refurbished rooms is that in addition to all of the very deep dresser drawers that you have, in case you are staying a while, they also have these power outlets and your phone jacks, which is so cool. Those are located throughout the entire area. Enhanced cleaning notifications in this day and age, always peace of mind that comes with that. And then a deep cleaned remote, as you can see there, prepackaged for you to remind you that it is well taken care of. I also like to make sure to point out that these power jacks for your phone, I mean, they're everywhere. They're all over the place, especially right next to your bed, where you're probably going to have your phone to begin with. So again, lots more places to put things, lots more of those little cubbies and areas in which to store your items. This is a hide-a-bed. Yeah, this thing pushes up against the wall, and you wouldn't even know it's a bed until you grab that handle. Otherwise, it sits there as a table with chairs. Got to move those chairs out of the way in order to bring the bed down. Here you see the main bed off to the side of that. Lots of space underneath to also store any sort of baggage or items that you might have. In addition to that, you see on the left and the right of the bed, additional phone jacks, power outlets, as well as the lighting structures. And then a very retro Mickey. Yeah, right smack in the middle. Love that design. Very cool. You have your phone here as well. I do appreciate the wake-up call service that they have at this resort and all throughout Walt Disney World. One of my favorite things, because you'll get woken up by a Disney character. So always take advantage of that. And lots and lots of pillows. More pillows than anybody could possibly want. Some of those pillows, of course, go to the hide-a-bed as well. Now we turn our attention on over to, the restroom and the sink area there. Yeah, that bathroom area. Before we get into it, I do want to point out that the old rooms used to basically just have a curtain between the restrooms and the main room. Now there's this giant, very sturdy, very thick, like barn door that shuts and sections off one room from the other. So much nicer, such a better option than just the curtain. The curtain was very cheap, very tacky. This is a wonderful thing to have, especially early in the morning. If you still have people that are sleeping, you want that blackout door to be able to push over the light. Here in the restroom itself, beautifully set up, beautifully appointed. Again, they maximized the entire space. This is not a big room, as I have mentioned. Therefore, they maximize all of the space that they have, which I really appreciate. A lot of people that stay in value resorts tend to be large families, tend to be sporting event groups, cheer groups, soccer groups, that sort of thing. So it's usually a lot of people to one area in a tiny space. So they really do offer up a lot of those sort of hidden away cubby areas and sectioned off corridors so that you can really maximize the entire room itself and not have a bunch of bags out and be tripping all over your stuff. In addition to that, you notice that the Disney soap is there, your tissue boxes, as well as your hair dryer and your iron. Yeah, so that's all tucked away too. Some additional supplies up top here, as well as your ironing board. So you got your ironing board off to the side, and then a place to hang your clothes, sort of a mini closet area, and then again, additional shelving all throughout this entire space to really maximize everything you got. And then the restroom, lavatory, as well as The shower, that shower is fantastic. I will say one of my favorite showers in all of Disney World. It's mainly due to the rainfall shower head, as well as the detachable shower head that comes with it. I do like the color palette in here, very refreshing, very cool colors, makes you feel clean. In addition to feeling clean, well, they have deep cleaned everything in this area too, including the various shampoos, conditioners, body washes, and they make sure to label that for you so that you know they went in and deep cleaned the area. Like I said, that rainfall shower head is so awesome. Lots of great pressure that comes out of that, which I know is very important to a lot of people that, really commit to those showers. Those showers are important, aren't they? Yeah. But a beautiful shower space, beautiful tub, and definitely a huge enhancement from what they had before. And then, of course, the place you do the most of your business right there. The location itself, like I said, really does speak volumes in terms of what it used to look like, in terms of what it used to be at Pop Century. The location, the room itself is much better than it ever was before. I will say that in the end, this room per night did set me back $217 a night. So if you think that that's worth it, certainly up to you to make that decision. I would say for $217 a night, virtually staying in a motel, even though it does have all the Disney touches, it's certainly something that is difficult to justify just because it's still very much motel setup. Now, you do have the complimentary transportation, you do have the beautiful lake outside, you do have the Disney touches all around. So again, it's all up to you. However, I don't think, given not just the price point, but my experience was pretty unfortunate this time around. I was interrupted 5 times by housekeeping in one day. 5 times I had housekeeping knocking on my door, all to say to me that they thought nobody was in the room every single time. I called the front desk 3 times to let them know that I was in fact in the room. I continued to be interrupted. This was a day, in fact, that I was trying to sleep in the middle of the day, and I kept getting woken up. They kept apologizing and saying it wouldn't happen again, and then it kept happening. So I finally got a call back from somebody within the housekeeping management who apologized, but basically said, on our end, it says nobody's in there. And I said, well, I can assure you that I am, and I'm clearly calling from that room. Well, no, we believe you. It's just, from our end, we didn't see anybody who's in there. So we kept sending somebody to go do a final checkup so that we could fill the room. So it just felt like a backhanded apology. I also had kids running up and down the hallway, and they were banging on my door. And then I would open the door and they'd run. So I don't know if I was just in sort of a bad luck category here. I don't know if I was just in a realm that people, wanted to play around in or mess with me in. I don't know what to say about it, but it was unfortunately one of those experiences that I was not all that happy with. It was one of my more negative stays at Walt Disney World. Not just more people visiting, which I can certainly handle. I have handled before. I've handled the major crowds. That's usually not a problem. But I was repeatedly pestered throughout the day within this room, and then several phone calls back saying that it wouldn't happen again, and apologies. And then it just kept happening. So at any rate, I share that with you as a cautionary tale. Please be careful. Look out. If you are staying at Pop Century, hopefully something like that doesn't happen to you. Hopefully it was a freak accident, but even after notifying them, it continued to be a problem. At any rate, that is my journey in spring 2021 to Walt Disney World, travel day from LAX, as well as Disney's Pop Century Resort. If you are looking for more videos on what it's like to visit Walt Disney World in pandemic, well, take a look at our playlist. Yeah, the In Pandemic playlist, where we have dining reviews, theme park reviews, as well as stays at other Disney World properties and other travel days that have led up to this point. Hope you can check it out. And I hope that it serves you well and allows you to make a decision as to whether or not you should visit during this very unique time. And make sure that you are subscribed to us with that notification bell turned on, and make sure that if you haven't done so already, that thumbs up button, well, it's got to be firmly pressed. That's right. And for all things Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and Disney Parks coverage, visit KingdomReportLive.com. For the Kingdom Report, I'm Wade Heath. We'll see you next time for an all new installment of Walt Disney World in Pandemic.